We're excited to have partnered with the B News, an online news platform covering Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and California. Our new program, The Business Buzz, gives you an inside look into the lives of local entrepreneurs, business owners, and those inspiring their communities. The trials, the tribulations, the successes, and the challenges. Welcome to The Business Buzz, now streaming on Dynamic Living Radio.
Welcome, everybody, to the Business Buzz. This is episode number 1, our new show on Dynamic Living Radio, which if you're streaming this, you already found us. If you haven't found us, but you're seeing us on social media, we are on iHeart Music, Apple Music, TuneIn, Live 365, and like 14 other streaming stations. You can also go right to the B website. We have a whole section for that there down near the bottom of the page, and we're going to have a whole other page created pretty soon. And dynamiclivingradio.com. And then one other spot, our app. So the B app, which you go into either Android market or Apple market, you can just search the B News and it will come up. We actually have Dynamic Living Radio as a little icon on the far right. You click that and you can start streaming the station as well. So lots of places, lots of opportunities. So yeah, it's pretty fun. So this is John. He's my co-host. He's a content manager. He's going to be the one that probably you see a lot of posts coming from him on our page. Maybe he's reaching out to you and tagging your business. That's kind of his job, is to get business activity stirring in our Mojave County, Laughlin, Needles, California. But as we grow and expand, who knows? We'll be in Vegas and Phoenix and possibly as far as Maine.
East Coast, out in Maine.
Some East Coast stuff. So which would be pretty cool. Nice. So the Business Buzz, really the purpose of this is just to kind of find out the nitty gritty about businesses in our area. A lot of times there's a disconnect between people and brands, and people think that sometimes brands are like just these cold shells and places and people work in them and they don't really like their jobs. And it just ends up being kind of a disconnect, when the reality is a lot of businesses that we go into every day are owned by local people who started out in the school near you and graduated high school. Maybe you went to college, maybe you didn't, maybe they started a business. So we want to kind of shed some light on that and showcase their journeys. So This is episode 1. So we want people to kind of get a little better backstory on who the heck am I? Who the heck is John? Who the heck is the B? What is this buzz that's going on in the community? So we got some questions laid out that John is going to fire at me. And
First of all, though, I'm not going to go with your scripts here, Steve.
Yes.
You know better knowing me.
Oh, no.
I know everything about you, but our viewers and listeners do not. So why don't you, as the head honcho of the B, tell us a little more about yourself personally before we jump into these questions? Let them know who you are.
No, who am I? I'm a person who went to school out in Maine, which is where I met John, this guy here. We were in college together up in pretty much as far east as you can go in Machias.
That's right.
And after deciding that I just wanted to get right to work, a couple years of college, really only had like maybe a year's worth of credits. Started working in the workforce in Portland, Maine. And career kind of took me from restaurant industry to training industry to retail, where I started a T-Mobile dealership and I was working 2 jobs. I was working T-Mobile and at a restaurant, and I was trying to do both. And finally kind of got pitched from the T-Mobile guys like, hey, you're really skilled at this. You really should focus on this. We can get you a management job. And so I took it. And I started working in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, and I started running a bunch of stores. I think I was running 9 stores at one time.
You always had bigger plans, my friend. We would many nights in college just be the two of us up and solving the world's problems. And a lot of these ideas that Steve is implementing now were started way back when in Machias, Maine. And
it's fun to see how it all kind of evolves.
Super proud of him. Great family man. My best friend in the world. Been for 25 years now. So was almost instantly. That's the kind of guy Steve is. You immediately. You feel like you've known him forever. But
I know, right? It's been a while.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So you want to dive into this?
Yeah. So I shifted from retail to marketing, and that was about in 2011. When that happened, it really started opening my eyes on what it takes to not only have a business. When I opened my own T-Mobile store, but holy cow, you open a store and you think that it's like the Kevin Costner movie. You build it and they will come. The Field of Dreams. And the reality is that's not how it goes. You don't just pop open a business and people are flooding in the gates, even if it is great. So I started learning marketing, and then in 2017, opportunity came up to acquire the Bee, which was called the Bullhead City Bee, which was a physical newspaper throughout Bullhead for about 30 years, since like 1984 or something like that, and acquired it, removed the Bullhead City geography name of the brand because I wanted it to be larger than just Bullhead, and then started to really implement a really serious strategy about websites and social media, and really started hammering down on it and making sure that that the whole plan never created costs to the viewer. A lot of newspapers at that time were A, charging for papers, B, charging for even viewing it on their websites. So there was I think a disconnect when it came to that, because there's so much free information out there. People didn't want to pay for it. So we just kept that model of just give free news away, put it on social media, put it on our website, and keep people informed. I mean, that's really the big purpose of the news. And then as we did that, we created monetization plans around getting local businesses in front of this audience of people, and so that's where we are now, is just growing with our businesses that have been with us, bringing on new businesses, and trying to always diversify in what we're doing. So, we have a TikTok channel that we've had for almost 2 years. A lot of people didn't even know what TikTok was 2 years ago.
That up.
Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and now podcasts, which have been around forever, but there's becoming a lot more importance to them. There's a lot more listenership that's happening. As generations change on the way they kind of consume information, so does the platforms that they do it with. And so we're trying to always evolve with those trends to make sure that no one's left behind, that, kids that are in high school that are getting their news on TikTok, great. You can follow our pages. So we're always doing that. So that's who I am. I just been always just grinding at it. And this is what we do.
You're underselling yourself a little bit, though. Why don't you tell our viewers, when a business does come on board with you to decide to advertise with you in the Bee, how much does and explain also too, like you did with me. I was new to this part of the world. I went in a different direction. Steve did when he left school. I worked for the government for a little bit. Different story. But explain to them the things you explained to me, like the views on your page and how much you increase a business's visibility in that first month when they sign up to do something.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Advertising and marketing is like this faux pas type, terminology. People kind of don't like to hear it. When you go into business, the last thing you want to do is be told you need to spend more money to bring more people in. Because in your mind, you're creating a business that costs money and time and energy, blood, sweat, and tears. That's your investment. And then your daily grind in that business feels like that's your work into it. When you're approached by either a salesperson or even a friend that's like, hey, you should really advertise. I don't ever see anything about you. The last thing they want to hear is that, because it's more money out of their pocket. And most business owners don't go through some type of class or course or training on understanding what marketing does and how it can be a positive ROI, return on investment, or in some campaigns they're called ROAS, return on ad spend. So, but if I said it in layman's terms and said to a business owner at a pizzeria, hey, here's a deal. Every time you give me $1, I'll give you $1.50. Is that a good deal? Yes. Okay. How many dollars would you like to give me today? I'll give you as many dollars as you want. So when you get a return on that investment and it's larger than what you're putting in, that's what our goal is. So with what we do, that's why we have on our standard plan, we have a 300% increase in viewers in the first 30 days. And what's cool with what we do is we don't just do this, give you 300%. All right, now you're back to where you were. We keep you at a level that is where your business should be, because if you follow the typical standard practices of marketing and advertising your business, you should be at a certain level. Some people go above and beyond, and the majority of people don't go even to that level. But what we do is we bring you to a baseline where you should be, and we keep you at that level, which is a lot higher than where you were, guaranteed 300%, even though the majority is a lot more than that. But we guarantee 300% just in case we get this unicorn business that's already super hyperactive on social media, already doing a lot of the stuff we do. We don't want to oversell. We want to undersell and overdeliver. So that's what we do. But yeah, we've had clients with 10,000 100% increases. So that's 100 times
value on that. Really,
it's crazy. In one post that we can do using our influencer pages, like the B with 55,000 followers or Instagram, with one post, we can get you as many eyeballs as a client's page that does 30. And when you think of that difference, you start to understand, well, okay, this does make sense, because now they understand they're giving me $1, I'm giving them $1.50 back. Okay. So that's really our goal, and it's doesn't have to be complicated, although it can be. I can explain it. So, the intricacies of understanding the psychology of advertising and understanding really what we're doing with engagement. But at the end of the day, that $1 to $1.50 return is really all that matters to a business. They just want to make sure they're getting something out of what they're investing in. So that's what we do. So yeah, we've had months, we've hit over 1 million impressions in 1 month. We average 500 to 600,000 a month, and so when you think of that, Mojave County just is about 220,000 people. So when you think about our average amount of impressions, we're reaching every single person in the county 3 or 4 times. That's a strong and impactful, campaign.
And not to mention now adding this podcast to the mix, which would be
trying to always just hit, because some people might not have Facebook pages, but they listen to podcasts, so you never know. So if we can get in front of them on whatever platform they're using, then that's better. And we're adding this as a value added benefit to our client base. That you're going to, this is our first episode, but I just left Havasu this morning with the owner of Mudshark Brewing, one of the big breweries down there, and we're going to be airing his episode next week. And it's going to be exciting to be able to watch and listen to these journeys that these people have gone through and get them in front of a whole new audience of people that they may have never been in front of.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So we've got some questions here, Steve. You want to dive in?
Yeah, do it.
All right.
11 minutes.
Okay. How does your company approach the challenge of distinguishing yourselves from fake news and misinformation online?
So
how does the B do that?
Yeah, the easiest way, the simplest way we do it is we don't pay writers to create their opinions on the news. We publish municipal press releases from public information officers who are being paid by the city or county or state through tax dollars. So there's an accountability that happens on what they're releasing. We don't spin it. We don't regurgitate in our own direction. We literally just post it as it's coming in. We do publish individual opinion pieces, but we state it as an opinion piece. So if someone were out there listening and they want to send in a letter about something that's happening in the city, we let people know, hey, this is an opinion piece from a resident. Here it is. But when it comes to standard news, we just don't spin it. I think a lot of the news companies out there, they'll take press releases that are coming in, they'll interview a couple people, and then they'll put together an article based around kind of their bias on what they want it to be. Right. We just don't do that.
That's right. No, just the news and nothing but the news.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about a particularly successful campaign or piece of content that your company has produced for one of your clients?
We have a ton. The one that probably comes to mind first is one that we did for Rickety Cricket, which is a restaurant in Kingman. They, just like every restaurant in America or in the world during the pandemic, they all took a major hit. They all had to readjust on how they're, operating their businesses. So there was new operators that went in there in May of this year or last year, and they had a hard time getting their feet under them and getting it going. And they tried a few things. They tried changing the menu. They tried changing tableside service versus ordering at the counter. And by September, they were getting pretty discouraged. And they reached out to us to say, hey, we see you on social media. Is this something that could help us? And after a few meetings and coming up with a plan that would work, we were able to run a campaign that not only gave them it was actually about a 1,200% increase in visibility online, but helped them relaunch the menu that they were ready to throw away because they're like, we're just adding to our food costs. This isn't doing us any good. We were able, but if you don't let people know you have a new menu, people aren't going to go there for the new menu, So that's what kind of happened. So they relaunched a menu items first, and then a whole new menu. And we also worked on a campaign for reputation management, which is reviews. And we created a campaign that got them through just training their staff and creating a printable piece of collateral for tableside support to the guests. We created a campaign that got them about 700 reviews in 45 days and took them up 0.3 reviews. So they went from a 4.2 to a 4.5, which then put them as #1 Google reviewed restaurant in all of the area that they were in. They were around about 7 other restaurants. And it also catapulted their TripAdvisor to #1. So they were number 2 in the city on Google, #1 on TripAdvisor, and #3 on Yelp. So through our campaigning and what we do and our expertise in marketing, we tackled it, and that was a huge success for them.
Right. It's amazing. And not to mention, Steve, I meant to ask you, like when somebody reaches out and says, "Hey, can we talk? Let's see what we can do." Do you charge them for that? Or,
no, we just do. It's a free consultation. Like we can't quote something without knowing a lot about what they're doing. We got to know about their business. We also know, what are you doing? Are you spending money here? Right. How are you measuring these results? What do you do here? We have to know all that. And so, no, we don't want to charge it. And we give advice too, even if they don't sign up. If they're like,
risk them at all,
yeah,
say, hey, take a look. What do you think? No risk.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll tell them like, hey, this is what you should be doing. If you're not in a position right now to pay for someone to help, take this advice and run with it. And then if you're getting some results and you're getting some money, come back and we can amplify it.
Right.
Yep.
That's right. It's just a good way to run business. How does your company measure the success of your social media strategy and audience engagement?
So we just do reporting. What's the beauty of online and digital is everything is tracked through IP addresses. And so you can see page views, you can see impressions, you can see all these analytical tools are available through the platforms that you're publishing content on, which is unique because radio, print, direct mail, you don't get that same insight. Billboards, you don't get that same insight. You can find out how many actual physical newspapers are being printed, but you don't really know how many are actually being read, or what pages are being read, or what part of pages are being read. Direct mail, you know how many post office boxes it was sent to, or mailboxes it was sent to, but you don't know how many were undelivered, which is a lot. United States Postal Service has like a 30% non-deliverable, even though the addresses are listed on their every door direct, there's about a 30% undeliverable. And then you have how many people grab it and throw it away, how many people grab it and just don't even look at it, but don't even remember they looked at it. So there's a lot of, so you have to create tracking phone numbers or landing pages. You're trying to direct them on all these physical things. With digital, everything is tracked with platform analytics from the users themselves. If you're on Facebook and you're scrolling, you're at least looking at those things and it can track that. If you click on something, it can track that. So we give that reporting dashboard to the client so that they can say, okay, this is what actually happened. This is how many people looked at my ads. This is how many clicked on it. This is how long they watched my video for. This is how many people went to my website from this. And we give them the reporting, and we also go over the reporting, but they also have a dashboard that they can view it themselves. They can log in at any time during the month and look at the day before or earlier analytics. So if we're running a specialty piece for them because they have maybe a grand opening or an open house, we can look at it as soon as the next day. Okay, how many people did this post see, the day before? So that's pretty cool that we can do that.
Now, if you have somebody that maybe like me might be a little new to all this stuff, do you walk them through and show them like, hey, this is what this means, this is what that means, and then show them how to access that information and to know what they're looking at?
Yeah, every single client, every single time, the very first reporting cycle, we get on a call like this or in person in the office, and we just go over it. And I explain it so it makes sense. They have all the dashboard logins so that after that meeting, they can go into it and look at what we were looking at. But yeah, we try to make it in layman terms. Because I know it can be a lot of geek speak happening where it's just goes over the head.
Yeah, if you're not accustomed to it,
right?
First.
So we try to break it down so it's as simple as possible. So it comes back to that dollar. Hand me $1, I'll hand you $1.50. We try to just make it as simple as that.
Yep, very good, very good. How do you see the future of online news and its relationship with traditional media evolving?
I think that online news eventually will be the only news. I think it's going to take a long, long time because a lot of those traditional publishers have a lot of money that they've lost a lot of in the last few years, but some of them are moving and shifting into digital. Some of them are getting more aggressive on app development or their website development. So I think eventually it'll get phased out completely, other than specialty publications like magazines and such. I think that those will still have kind of a place, because people like to put things on their tables. People like to read things on planes. There'll be something somewhere in there. I think direct mail will still be just as annoying as it's always been, but it'll still happen. They'll still send you stuff to get your air conditioner clean, and you'll look at it and you'll look at the $59 off. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, they're just going to add $59 if I call this phone number to the normal service. So how will it will just even out? Exactly. I think that digital is definitely the way to go, because it's more cost effective and it's more measurable. Right. I think those two key factors are what's going to continue to make it the most important avenue of marketing.
Absolutely. 100%. Can you discuss any notable changes you have faced as a primarily online news source during the COVID-19 pandemic?
We got extremely busy just because there was so much more press release happening. I mean, we were getting almost double the amount of news getting sent to us. There was so when it came to changes, it was just trying to process that amount of news with the staff that we had, and then also because of our clients that we're trying to take care of, trying to be flexible with them, but also give them more than what they were paying for. So what we actually did when COVID first happened, and as soon as they started doing lockdowns, I sent an email to all of our clients that said, hey, just so you know, we're doubling all of the marketing services that we were doing for you at no cost. And if you're a website client, because we do website management, you're getting free 24-hour turnover on any change request, which normally is like a 5-day turnover, just because stuff was happening on a daily basis. You might have a restaurant that was open one day and then it closed the next. So all we did is we just increased our output of what we could do to help our customers and our clients. And that what I found was during that 2-year period was that probably that over delivery on results is the most important part of what we do. And so what we're doing right now is the exact example of why we're doing it, is for the exact same reasons why I doubled our output during that period of time. I know that businesses need help, small businesses, and I think retention and keeping them happy has to always stay at the forefront of everything I do. So adding in benefits that they don't have to pay for is the most wow thing that a company can do, because I can tell you this, there is no traditional advertising company in the world that I'm aware of, newspaper, radio, direct mail, that calls up their clients or emails their clients saying, hey, we're doubling your ads this month at no cost. You paid for a half page, but we're going to do a full page. Yeah, we're doing that, and we're going to be deliberately doing this forever. Every single client that joins in, the earlier you join, the more benefits you're going to get over time. But these value-added benefits that they're getting are going to continue. So every time there's a new platform or a new offering that I think that we could add, I'm going to add it to my grandfathered in clients at no cost, so they can just reap the benefits of it. And you know what? Business owners know business owners. They talk to them all the time. So they're going to say, hey, I'm using these guys, and they keep on just giving me more stuff at no cost, and we're getting great results. So that's going to be our approach. That's what changed. I guess what changed the most was the mindset on retention. So that's where we're at now.
It changed. I mean, it changed the world, and you have to change with it.
Right.
How does your company approach balancing the need for click-worthy headlines with the responsibility of maintaining journalistic integrity?
Kind of the same thing as that one question where we just put out press releases as they come in. Sometimes we'll change the title of it if it's just too cold, three died car wreck. If it's too cold, we might say fatal car accident happened in Lake Havasu. But we just don't. I don't go after that. I know negative press reaches more people. It's a sad fact of it's the old adage of driving by a car accident and slowing down and looking. Like, you don't really need to look, right? But why are you looking? You're curious. Curiosity is is the devil in some things. And I think news, it's one of them. So I would much rather lose that type of impression by just focusing on positive stories. So we don't do any tactics to try to do that. I would much rather just be able to talk about the food bank that just did a big, that just got their biggest donations, able to help the most amount of families this year. So yeah,
and that's commendable, because as you said, that unfortunately the negative.
It's just the world we live in now. Yeah,
but I think that's a big problem with where things go in countries. That's all it gets reported. It seems like it's the negative.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
right. We need room for the good stuff.
We've had enough of it. I mean, we've had enough. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Can you talk about any unique monetization strategies your company has implemented for generating revenue?
We do it through working with brands and companies. So like I was saying, we don't do, they call them the pay gates on our website where you have to be a subscriber. We don't charge people to get our emails of press releases. We don't charge the viewer, consumer of the content. We work with creating budgets for businesses to be able to take advantage of the traffic that we already have to get in front of. It's the same as any other product placement in a movie from the 1990s. A can of Pepsi sitting on a desk in a movie on Back to the Future. Pepsi paid for that to be there. It knew a bunch of people were going to see it. That's what we do.
That's right. Right. That's a good comparison as well, too.
Yeah.
How does your company stay on top of the constantly changing algorithms and features of social media platforms to ensure maximum reach and engagement?
Study. People would be blown away if they knew how much time I put into learning and staying on top of trends that are happening in tech. Because I do website design and management as well, it gives me kind of like a double-edged sword against this thing called technology that's constantly changing. Because I own cell phone stores for 10 years.
You remember I came out to visit last year. I came out to visit. We're going to go to Vegas, and I thought, he does, Mark. He's got all this free time. No, not at all. You are constantly learning and looking things up.
Yeah. When I look at my, I don't play games. I'm not a gamer. I literally just don't have time. I don't play games on my phone. Yeah. If I'm on my phone, I'm reading something that's important to what I do, and the trends are changing constantly. Right. So, hourly, these things are happening. If I say the term Chat GPT, a lot of people know about it now. If I had said it to you 5 weeks ago when I was using it, nobody knew about it. If I told somebody that there's AI software that I had 2 years ago that works with publishing platforms, people had no idea that it even existed really. Their technology changes, and the only people that really know anything about it are the ones that are literally daily keeping in tune to it. So, I follow major marketing players and major tech people. I follow what they post and publish and what they talk about, and that's how I stay on top of it. Yeah. Algorithms change all the time. They have been changing since Google started doing the SEO thing in the SEO world, and they had the better algorithm than Yahoo. That's why Google is Google and Yahoo is Yahoo. When social media started happening and MySpace and Vine and all these platforms were evolving over time, they changed overnight. It seemed like when all of a sudden MySpace isn't cool and not being used, or Napster was getting shut down because it was frauding all these people, but then getting turned back on into a whole nother thing. Stuff changes so quickly. And I know that business owners that own pizzerias, plumbing businesses, electrical, pest control, they aren't sitting there learning about this stuff. It's my job to do that because they pay me to make sure that I have their best interest in the always changing environment of marketing. Right. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Can you discuss any notable partnerships or collaborations your company is undertaking to expand its reach and audience?
Yeah. One is radio. A lot of people know we're on the radio because they listen to it. But if Speak Out 2.0 is one of our partners that we published. I think it's been 3 years maybe. We send them the news every night. So when you listen to one of their stations, which I think they have 6 different radio stations, and it will say the news brought to you by the B News, and check out more to the story at theb.news. So we get a radio shout out. So we've been doing that for a long time. It helps us both. It helps them because we provide them all of the cliff notes to the news that happened in Bullhead and Kingman. They work with Havasu Herald to get some news out of Lake Havasu. And it helps us reach a different audience, right? So we always talk about like what audiences we need to get in front of. We need to get in front of everybody. People are still listening to the radio. It's a different demographic. They have different context of how they're listening to the radio. So like maybe you're listening to the radio because you're listening to talk radio, which is what we're on. So when the news part comes on, you're paying attention. Maybe you're listening to a rock station for the rock and you turn down the radio when the news comes on or when commercials come on. There's different context to it. And then another partnership is Dynamic Living Radio, which is what we're on right now. So this is a podcast, 16 different stations. It's home base is in Maine, but he's available anywhere. And it's in my car. I think it's called TuneIn is built into my car, so I can tune into it. Apple Music's also in my car. You just search Dynamic Living Radio, and there it is. And it's so it's creating those collaborations. And then we also have a kind of a non-traditional collaboration that we are not announcing until our next episode, but it is a collaboration of a physical, tangible thing that you'll be able to buy in a store, and it will look really familiar to us.
Yes, I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah.
We can let the cat out of the bag, but we're not going to do it just yet.
Nope, not yet.
All right. How do you see the role of online-only news sources evolving in terms of their impact on shaping public opinion and driving political discourse?
I think that it's irresponsible when a news company tries to influence people to take their position. Yeah. I think a news company is supposed to inform and give resources to viewers. I think that certain news companies that have opinionated hosts, that their show is about their opinion, that makes sense. But it becomes a very dangerous world when news becomes biased and 100%. Becomes one-sided. And it can create what it created, which is divisiveness and untrust, and you don't trust the news sources anymore. Yep. So I think that's just the way that is. I think that that'll always be a thing for a long, long time. I think eventually, I mean, we're talking 20, 30 years, maybe not even that long, but I think that news will become a very scientific publication. Yeah. I think it'll be software and AI that's collecting data and putting it out in a very scientific, simple way. And then I think you'll still have the entertainment side of news. You'll have entertainers. You'll have these hosts that are very opinionated. But I think overall news, I think people will be acquiring it through very, very just, this is what's going on in your neighborhood. This is what crime is going on. This is what healthcare is happening. And it'll be non-opinionated, not being touched by a person to screw it up or put a swing on it. So
Right. Yeah. And like you said, the divisiveness it causes is really the big danger.
Yeah.
Can you discuss the process and strategies your company uses for managing client social media pages?
Yeah, we use software that allows us to publish and syndicate content. It allows us to share calendars to our clients so that they have their own login. They can view everything that we're putting together. They can see when it's getting published, what's worded on the post. They can view the reporting like I talked about. They can also, through this dashboard, reach out to us directly. They can add comments on posts, and it'll tag us so that we can take action on it. It's elevating the advertising and marketing space to an area that it's never been, which is the client actually has a lot more control of what's happening. Yeah. You know, I mean, when I first was doing advertising over 10 years ago, before I got involved heavily into marketing, so it was 2009, so 13 years ago. Yeah. I remember it was like the little lady came in. She said she brought in a newspaper. She put it on the counter. She said, "This is," and she had a little sales sheet that said, eighth of a page, quarter of a page, half page. She said, "This is it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we'll do a half page. We're new. We just opened a new store." And all she wanted was the business name, just like the basics. And then their person put it all together and just published it. And so it was really hands off. And I didn't even know how many newspapers were getting printed. I didn't understand that there was a print number and then a viewer number, because they estimate how many people are actually going to read the newspaper, and they take their print and they multiply it by whatever they feel is their viewer number.
Exactly.
So it was really hands off, and and that's like that. Everybody is like that. So with us, you get a dashboard. You could view all your graphics coming up for the next 2 months. You get you have a lot more say in it, and you have a support portal that gives you an easy way to request for help when you need it. So
good stuff.
Yeah, it's unique.
Go ahead.
No, I said it's unique.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry I interrupted. How does your company use analytics and metrics to track the performance and success of client social media campaigns?
Just what it sounds like. We literally look at them, we review them. If there's certain posts that we do at certain times to do better than others, we try to duplicate that success. So if there's a certain style of post, or if there's a certain message that resonates well through the analytics, we can see that because we get analytics on every post. If something is working well, we do more of it. And so if something is not doing well, we do less of it. So we adjust as we're going when it comes to our content.
Right. That makes sense. Can you talk about the role of your company's own social media presence, particularly your Facebook page with your 55,000 followers, in driving traffic to your clients' pages?
Yeah, I mean, influencer marketing is all about, to be an influencer, you have to be able to sway the opinions of many, or at least the attention of many, to wherever you want to push it to. So an influencer would be like a Kim Kardashian, and people like what she uses for makeup, and then she starts her own brand. But before she starts her own brands, she had big contracts with other players in the makeup space. So same as things like water products and stuff like that, where a sports athlete gets in front of it, becomes a spokesperson in a sense. They're influencers, so they're influencing a lot of people. So Facebook wise, because our page is so big, we're the second largest page in the county other than Havasu Tourism. We can influence a lot of eyes on whatever we put on our page. So when we can take a brand, that product placement, put it in front of our audience, they will get a lot more views than they would on their own, which is what we were talking about. One of our posts a lot of times will perform at a level of 30x a post on some a business page because we have so many followers. So we take advantage of that.
How does your company leverage its own? I believe I just did that one. Rewind. Can you discuss any notable campaigns or initiatives your company has undertaken to grow its own social media following?
Pretty much every campaign we do is that we're going after businesses that need help with it. We need to increase their page presence. And so as soon as we get in there, we're hitting them with over 300% in that first month. And then continually after that, maintaining at that higher level of performance. What happens is usually those business owners will go to the store around the weekend. They'll go out to a restaurant with their friends, and someone will say something to them. It'll be like, "Hey, I saw your post about this," or "Oh, hey, I saw you're on here." They'll actually get noticeably, talked to about, "Wow, I saw you on the Bees Facebook page." So that really helps just by getting in front of 3 to 5 times more people every month. That's how we do it. We just leverage our page on increasing the attention to their page.
How does your company's approach to social media advertising differ from traditional forms of online advertising?
What is it?
How does your company's approach to social media advertising differ from traditional forms of?
Yeah. So online advertising usually is like banner ads, or they'll do what's called remarketing or retargeting pixels. So like you'll go onto you'll be on Facebook and you'll click on an ad, and it'll basically save a cookie in your browser that when you go to Amazon and there's a banner ad that shows up, it's an ad for that company's ad that you clicked on. So it's really kind of a nuisance sometimes when it does that. So you end up getting not as many solid impressions, and you don't get as much solid conversions from online advertising like that, because those banner ads are appearing. Usually they're ugly, they're skinny, they're in weird placements, and they're sometimes out of context. So you're like, you're reading something about one thing and you're seeing an ad for something completely different. So there's really hard context on it. So with social media, we all are already on our phones and already using social media, and we're spending a lot of time on it. And the brands that we're using are local brands. So instead of going on a website like a Sports Authority website or something where it's like all sporting goods and seeing an ad, it's a national website, and then seeing an ad to a local store, we're a local social media following showing local businesses in front of it. Right. So there's a better context to it, I think.
Right. That makes sense. How does your company work with its clients to measure ORI on social media advertising campaigns?
We literally just measure the results. We look at their budget, and if we're having a really good track on the call to action to it. So if it's a conversion metrics like a coupon or people coming in to an event, and we look at that and we say, okay, this is how much it costs for us to manage this page. This is how many people brought in. And if we need to adjust it up, we adjust it up, or we can adjust it down based on that budget and based on how much it's costing. Like if someone is selling 10-cent items and it's costing us on average $1 to get that person to buy that 10-cent item, it's not worth it. That's where it's really important that you make sure that your budget and your expectations and your product or service is going to match and align with what we're doing.
That's right. Can you discuss any notable challenges or successes your company has had in using social media to drive conversations and sales for clients?
Probably the hardest thing is that we don't have conversions. The hardest thing is just the changes in algorithm from Facebook. Facebook's a big company, Facebook, Instagram. They changed the way organic reach happens on a day-to-day basis, and it changes based on everything from how much ad spend is coming into the platform, what type of ad spend is coming into the platform, what type of content you're posting, the frequency, the time of day. So, we could have a post that we posted 2 years ago that maybe reached 10,000 people and post the exact type of post now, and it reached 2,000 people. And there's no reason for it other than Facebook has changed certain algorithms. So it's staying on top of those changes is probably the biggest challenge. And the only way to do that is what we do at the volume that we do it. When we're publishing over 1,300 or 1,400 posts a month, we have a large research pool because of that, right? So if you're just a small business and you post every other day and you're posting 15 posts in a whole month and we're posting 1,500, we have a larger scale ability to look at the analytics and say, man, what is Facebook doing with these? We got to do more of these. And I think the biggest recent change in that has been Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels and Stories, and TikTok. The vertical video format, area, and YouTube Shorts has really changed a lot of the algorithms on all the other posts that are happening too.
Yep. Yeah. Well, how does your company stay up to date on the latest trends and best practices in social media marketing?
Just like I was saying, study, research over and over and over every single day, making sure that you're following the right people that are doing it, the ones that are tried and true, that have millions of followers and millions of reach, that are running large campaigns like Pepsi Cola and Jaguar and just these huge brands, and they just know what they're doing because they have same thing. They have a large budget with large scaling of campaigns, and when they see things change, it's very obvious. And when they talk about these changes that are happening, it's noteworthy. So it's just staying on top of that stuff.
Yeah. All right. And how does your company work with its clients to integrate social media marketing with their overall marketing and advertising strategy?
That's important because some businesses should be marketing and advertising on a lot of different platforms. They shouldn't just be doing social. They should be doing some radio. They should be doing some paper. They should be doing direct mail. Depends on the company. So That consultation is really what determines how we integrate social media. If they've already got a person in-house that's doing it, but they're doing it wrong, the business owner has a choice. Do you want to teach this person how to do it right? Or do you want to bring in a company to do it right? And the thing is with a lot of small employers is that they don't realize that if you give all the keys to the social media house to Johnny, the nephew, and he then decides to take a job somewhere else and leave, you're screwed until you find another Johnny and teach another Johnny. When you deal with a business that's been doing it for 11 years, 12 years, then you don't have someone that's just leaving and taking another job. You're still an important client to them. So there's definitely a difference, and they obviously there's a skill set difference. Obviously, there's Johnny doesn't have a page with 55,000 followers. There's all kinds of other things, but the really most important, I've seen this happen a lot of times, is that people quit, people get fired, people are stealing, people aren't doing their jobs. Employees treat their employers differently than an agency handling a client. So I think that is a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's pretty much all I got for you today, Steve. I think
that's it. That was a long episode.
Well, it's our first one. Like I said before we started, you and I are well on our way to Joe Rogan. You better watch out. We're coming.
That's right. And
more to come. Different topics, different business owners. Really looking forward to getting a lot of those hardworking local people onto this, so that they can tell you their story and how their business came to be and what they can do for you.
Yep. Awesome.
I'm John.
Thank you for doing it. Yeah, next week we're going to have Mud Shark Brewing, and then I think after that, we've got Barron Services, and we have the Chris Barton, who's a principal of a middle school down in Bullhead City, and also a realtor. So we have a couple ones already lined up that are going to be on the show. So yeah, cool. All right,
that's been a good job. Good talking to you, and buzz on, brother.
All right, until next time.
Welcome to the Business Buzz, now streaming on Dynamic Living Radio.